Hello and welcome to another episode of Toya Talks Wrestling. In today's episode, we're going to talk about some things that happened on Raw last night. So, let's talk about some Judgment Day girl stuff. So, Liv Morgan finally had that talk with Roxanne Perez, the one that she was trying to have before Mania, before she had a head-on-head collision with her, due to the fact that, Stephanie Ventura pushed her into Roxanne Perez, whatever. Anyways, so they finally had their talk, and Liv Morgan was basically telling Roxanne, telling her thank you for helping her and everything else and having her back, and how she knows that she might be upset that Finn Balor is no longer in the Judgment Day, but Finn Balor was thinking about only himself and not the family. And she knew that Finn Balor brought Roxanne in and saying that, this is about family. It's nobody's above the family and everything else like that. And Roxanne just shaking her head in agreement and stuff like that. And she asked Roxanne, do you trust me? And Roxanne shakes her head, nods her head yes, and she's like, good, I'm glad. She goes, I'm gonna be out there tonight with your match with Raquel, and because Raquel and Roxanne had a match between the Bird Girl Lyra and Bailey tonight. So they're like, okay, I'll be out there with you and by your side and everything else. And Roxanne's like, cool, that's great, you can go ahead, I have to get something. And she's like, okay. So she leaves, Liv Morgan leaves, right? And you see Roxanne, she's doing something. She turns around and there's Finn Balor, and she's like telling her to be quiet or shh, and she's like, what are you doing here? And everything else like that. And Finn Balor's like, look, you cannot trust Liv Morgan. Matter of fact, you can't trust anybody in the Judgment Day. And then Roxanne Perez is like, I can't trust them or I can't trust you. He's like, look, I have a match to get ready for, and you might well leave before you get hurt. And then Finn Balor's like, cool, I hope you know what you're doing, good luck on your match. So then she had a match, I think they were somewhere in Texas. Somewhere, I don't know if that's her hometown or if that's someplace that she trained to in, but they were really loving freaking Roxanne Perez in this town. Once she got that tag, man, they were just cheering and everything else. I'm like, god dang, dude. And I think that Michael Cole, or somebody said that she had family there and 30 people, and I'm like, are you sure it wasn't the whole damn area in that one spot? I'm like, oh my god, they were cheering for her so loudly. But she had a match, and like I said, she had a tag match with Raquel and versus Lyra and Bailey. The match was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. It was okay. And she ended up doing pop rocks, I believe, on Bailey for the win. So she got the hometown feel and everything else. So good for her. Good for her. I can see her winning Money in the Bank and then having that tease with Liv Morgan. Cause I know that Money in the Bank is after SummerSlam this year. Usually it's before, but it's after SummerSlam this year. So yeah, they can have that. And I wouldn't be surprised if they would have teased it all the way to next year. Maybe in freaking Saudi when she can cash in or something like that on freaking Liv. I don't know, but I can see them teasing it. I can see them teasing it for sure. But yeah, good on her. Some more lady stuff. We had Becky Lynch and Io Sky for the IC title. So Becky Lynch comes out and she cuts a promo. She's basically saying how she beat AJ Lee at WrestleMania, but she saw her little girl in the front row and she wants to be a better champion, and she knows that she wants to be a better champion for everybody in the crowd. I know she wants them to be a fighting champion, so that's what she's going to do. So she put out a challenge to anybody who wanted to fight her. She's like, here's an open invitation women's IC title championship for anybody in the back there who wants to fight me, who thinks who they can beat me and everything else like that. And we hear Io Sky's music and the crowd goes freaking crazy and they're like Io, Io and everything else. And Becky Lynch is looking like shocked and surprised and like, what the heck? And everything else. Sky go gets the microphone and she points to the title and she says, I accept. And Becky Lynch just like kind of like giggling, like, accept what? What are you talking about? What's going on? You accept what? I said I want a person that can, like, a challenger. You're a loser. Are you holding this position for Rhea? You know, the one who actually has gold and everything else? Like, you don't deserve this match. You don't deserve this. I'm like, I'm out of here. And you're like, and everything else. And then Io Sky ends up attacking Becky Lynch. And then Becky Lynch ended up escaping out of the ring and is about to leave with her title. And then Adam Pearce is like, whoa, 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 Becky. You made an invitation for that title. Io Sky answered it. So we're going to have a match for the title. So we had a match for the title, and it was a fucking hell of a match, man. It was great. I loved it. Fucking like 15 minutes and everything else like that. I'm like, this is a great match. If you have not seen this match, if you don't watch Raw, watch this match. The match was worth watching. Anyways, at one point, you had Io Sky and Becky Lynch on the outside of the ring, and then Io Sky does her like some somersault suicide dive thing over on Becky Lynch, and then Becky Lynch ends up putting Becky Lynch back into the ring, or the ref was checking on Becky because I guess Becky got injured or pretending she got injured. I don't know, but as she was doing that, I don't know, I think Io Sky's shoe came off for some reason and she had to put a shoe back on or whatever. It was weird. And then she's about to go back into the ring, and here comes Asuka, and Asuka attacks freaking Io and then throws her back into the ring. And this is the second time which landed that Becky Lynch did the Mad Hatter Slam, because she did it earlier and Io kicked out. But she did it again and Io did not kicked out, and Becky Lynch retained her title. I hope we don't see the end of Becky versus Io, because I think that would be a good feud after this whole Asuka thing and Io is done. Because Asuka comes in and she attacks Io, and then puts her in the Asuka lock, and then Io, passes out or whatever, and she finally lets go. So then we get a vignette from Asuka, and it's basically talking about Io and how she's gonna fight her and just be done with her forever, blah 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 blah. So we're gonna get that match at Backlash. Oh, by the way, when Asuka was attacking Io, there was "We Want Kyrie" chants as they were attacking her and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, they're finally doing that match at Backlash, which I figured they probably would. I don't know what happened. I think, well, I'll talk about that next week, but I wouldn't be surprised if after this match with Io, Asuka says she's done. And I'll get into more of that when we talk about the match next week with Chip. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. We had a match between Rusev and Penta. Rusev won. He would have a #1 guaranteed opportunity for the title, to fight for the title. He did not win, even though there were some distractions from Ethan Page. Penta ended up winning that match anyway, and then Rusev and Ethan Page ends up attacking Penta, and then Devon Evans comes in and helps Penta. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some tag team action coming up very soon. So we had Seth Rollins, he cut a promo on Braun Breaker, basically, saying that Braun Breaker was the best, and it's like talking about he wanted to help him and everything else like that. And the Braun Breaker comes out, I believe with Paul Heyman, and Braun Breaker is basically like, you basically didn't really do anything for me or Reed and everything else, and we pretty much had to fight your battles, and like, look at you now, you're alone, you're by yourself, because you're always starting these wars and that we had to like solve for you. And he's like, and Von Breaker's like, yeah, you're the greatest, and being number 2. And then Seth Rollins like, that's funny and everything else, you're not even like and he thought, that's good, where did you get that from? Your uncle Papa, Big Papa Pump told you that one or something like that? And he's like, tell you what, baby Steiner, you're not even number 2 in your family, and everything else like that. So, and there was some other stuff back and forth, I can't remember everything, but basically Seth Rollins challenged Braun Breaker to a match at Backlash, which we're going to be getting, so we'll talk about that next week. And speaking of Vision, let's talk about some Vision stuff. So we had the debut for Joe Hendry, which we didn't even get that part where say his name and he appears. They did not give us that part of the song and his theme song, which was like his whole gimmick, his whole point of the whole shit. Like, someone says his name and then he appears. That's the whole point, right? But he gave us a concert. He starts singing and everything else, and basically it ended up talking about how he wanted Logan Paul to get fired. I'm like, dude, it's a little bit too early to talk about people getting fired. We just released like 24 people. Come on now. But read the room, Joe Hendry. Okay. But I mean, it was a cool song. That's pretty much his gimmick, right? That's how, like, his whole gimmick is just to write songs about opponents and everything else like that, or people you don't like. And here comes the Vision. And the Vision and Logan Paul is like, I can't get fired, I'm unfireable or some shit like that, and everything else. I'm a champ, and then he's a champ. He was pointing to Austin Theory, and they're like talking, and he says like, he's like, yeah, we fought at WrestleMania. Where were you at? Joe Hendry goes, you might have fought at WrestleMania, but all I saw was 2 prime time losers or something like that. And so they start attacking Joe Hendry 2-on-1, and here comes the Street Profits, and the Street Profits get to attacking the Vision because the Street Profits really want to get those titles. To do what with them? I don't fucking know. Where's the tag teams in this fucking show anymore? I have no idea. But they ended up attacking them. The Vision ends up going all away, and the Street Profits and Joe Hendry end up celebrating in the ring by doing Joe Hendry's song with that waving hands thing, whatever, blah 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 blah. So later on in the back, you had Joe Hendry and the Prophet. They were talking and everything else like that. And then Joe Hendry ends up leaving, and here comes Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins is like, yo, look, last week I want to hit, and then the Street Profits cut them off like, yo, this ain't even about you, son, okay? Like, no one's thinking about you. We didn't do this for you. We want those titles. It had nothing to do with you, right? And everything else. And I'm like, good, right? Because Seth Rollins shouldn't have any friends. Seth Rollins alienate himself, and he was an asshole to everybody, so he needs to make up all this shit and everything else. Doing what do you call those, apology tours or whatever and stuff like that, because no one should be fucking nice to fucking Seth Rollins. He was a jerk. So yeah, so fuck Seth Rollins for being a jerk. You need to apologize to everybody, and then maybe you can get back into the good graces of those people. Speaking of being jerks, let's talk about the Bloodline. We had in the beginning of the show, there was a video where there was Roman Reigns, and he was talking to his cousins and this table, and basically talking about what they're going to do about Jacob Fatu, and how Jacob Fatu pretty much took out the whole MFTs, because him and Solo and Jacob Fatu had a match, and then Jacob won, and then the MST started attacking Jacob Fatu, and Jacob Fatu pretty much all out and everything else, and it ended up with Jacob Fatu staring down the Usos. And then the Usos are saying, like, Jey Uso was like, you know what, you need to make an example out of him, you need to do all this stuff and everything else. And Roman Reigns is like, you're right, I need to do what I need to do, blah blah blah. So later on in the show, you had the Usos talking to LA Knight. Well, actually, LA Knight was talking to the Usos. LA Knight was like saying, I don't know why you're going back with Roman Reigns and everything else. This is a mistake. You shouldn't go back with him and everything else like that. He's probably just using you and everything, blah blah blah. And he's like, you know, Jay, you became champion. You did all by yourself. And he's like, you know, you too can become heavyweight champion too, Jimmy. But you guys went back to Roman Reigns and you're just errand boys again, whatever. And he's like, look, Jimmy's like, look, Jay's like, look, this is family business. And he's like, yeah, let's mind your business, what Jimmy was saying. He goes, I get that this is family business and everything else like that, but you know, power corrupts people, and then when that happens, that's when it becomes my business. Basically saying that, you know, bloodline and them taking over and everything else like that, we're not doing that again. So, and I agree, I don't want to do it either. So I'm just like, yeah, I totally agree with fucking LA Knight. But I think that was the last time we seen LA Knight and the Usos. We had Obafemi. Before I go to the Roman Reigns thing, we had Obafemi, and we actually had Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller was talking to Adam Pearce, and Grayson Waller was like, look, we have no opportunities to, you know, for challengers and everything else like that, and I don't know why, you know, Obafemi is so high and mighty and everything else, and he's not that great and all this other stuff. And Adam Pearce was trying to warn Grayson Waller that Obafemi was behind him and everything else, and he's like pointing and he's looking and everything else, and Grayson Waller is going off on Obafemi, and then he turns around and he asks Adam Pearce, can he have a match with Grayson Waller? And obviously Adam Pearce is like, sure. So then we get the match, and it was a very short match. It was a good match, but it was a short match. Ended up with like Grayson Waller getting clotheslined, and then fall from grace, and 1, 2, 3. Thanks for coming, Grayson Waller. So then Obafemi's like, you know what, Grayson Waller is right. There's not many opportunities because people are like already in their situation with their championships and stuff like that. So he decided that he's gonna have a Obafemi open challenge. Anybody who wants to fight the ruler can fight the ruler and everything else like that. So that's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. I don't know who's gonna step up, but we'll see. Anyways, let's go back to the Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu thing, because I totally forgot about the Obafemi thing. And so we had Roman Reigns. He comes out and he's shining his own shit. By the way, I don't think Roman Reigns has changed. His demeanor has changed. He's a little bit more like it's nicer, but he's still an asshole. He's still an asshole. I don't know why. He had great aura. Okay, he's a fucking aura. He's got the farm, but he's still an asshole. He's still a fucking asshole. Anyway, so he comes out and he's like, yeah, now that I have this championship, now it's not the championship who makes the man, it's the man who makes the championship. And this championship has meaning now. This championship has relevancy now because of me. You can now acknowledge this championship and everything else. And I'm just like, so you're just gonna shit on Seth Rollins, you're gonna shit on Damian Priest, you're gonna shit on Punk, and you're gonna shit on Gunther, who all had that title. Okay, cool, my guy. Oh, and your cousin Jay, you're gonna shit on them, all of those guys. Okay, sure, whatever. Okay, see, he's an asshole. I'm telling you, he's a fucking asshole. Anyways, he goes in there, he goes, now you're gonna acknowledge the title. And then he tells the people in Texas acknowledge me and they acknowledge him. And as soon as he says acknowledge me, here comes Jacob, right? And Roman Reigns like, oh, perfect timing. I was just about to talk to you. I gave you a week to think about what you want to do. And Jacob R2 goes, dude, I didn't need a week. I didn't need a day. Hell, I didn't even need an hour. I want to fight you. I already told you. I told you I need that title. This ain't a game. This ain't a joke. You know what I'm saying? Like that. He goes, I wasn't even sure if I was even going to make it to the WWE. When you were tribal chief and you're over here running around being your tribal chief self, you didn't call me. The Usos didn't call me. You know who did call me? Solo. He called me. And everything else like that. He's the one who brought me in. And then Roman Reigns like, yo, like, I'm gonna stop you right there. Solo couldn't get a cup of coffee delivered to the building. Like, he got no pull around here. He goes, the only reason why you're even here was because of me. I gave you that opportunity. It wasn't Solo, it was me. Okay, give me the credit. Give me all the fucking credit. It was me and everything else like that. He's like, look here, little cousin, you can't beat me, okay? You know what I'm saying? You need to be careful and all this other stuff. And he starts talking. And then Jacob put him in a Tonga chokehold. And telling him, like, chokehold, right? And they were booing him and the audience were booing him. And I'm like, why are you booing fucking Jacob? Like, he didn't do anything wrong. He wants the title. Fucking Roman Reigns is talking shit about him. What's he supposed to do? Take it? No. Like, I don't understand why they're booing him, but they booed him. And Jacob R2 was like, you know, I'm gonna get that time. I'm gonna beat you, whatever, and all stuff like that. And so he lets go of Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is choking and everything else like that, choking and coughing. And Jacob R2 picks up the title and he looks at the title and he throws the title down at Roman Reigns. And he leaves the ring. And as Roman Reigns is choking and everything else, and he grabs the mic and he's like, Jacob, you want to see me at Backlash? Fine, I'll see you at Backlash then. So we got that match, Jacob versus Roman Reigns at Backlash. I'll talk about my thoughts on that next week with Tim. But Jacob was like, not on the microphone, but the camera caught it, where he's like, Backlash, fool, I'll see you next week on Monday. So I like the fact that we are seeing Roman Reigns every Monday now. Are we gonna see him fighting a title on Mondays? Probably not, but as long as he's showing up probably towards the end of the show at every time, that's fine. I'm okay with it. I mean, it's gonna get old after a while, I'm sure, but as of right now, that's fine. So that's how they end it. So like I said, I don't know what's gonna happen next week with Jacob and Roman, but I do have my thoughts about Backlash and Roman and everything else like that. But that was that. It was an okay show. It wasn't a good show. It wasn't a great show. It wasn't okay. It was in the middle of the road show. It was just alright. It didn't feed a village. It fed a couple of families. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I will see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.